Welcome back, beautiful people. This is another episode of An Untold Narrative, and you guys know this story by now. We feature creatives from all over the world who have done tremendous things in their careers, and today's guest has done something literally nobody else has done before. He has brought the first minor in footwear design to a university. He has brought the first master's degree in footwear design to a university. He has founded his own footwear company. He has designed shoes for a very long time. He is one of the OGs of footwear design on Instagram, even when Instagram was first getting started, where everybody loved and shared his work. Quintin Williams, dude, I'm so excited to have you and stoked to have you. You are a footwear, OG through social media. So I appreciate you being here.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here, and man, that's like the second time I've heard that, man.
Oh yeah.
Like I've never like no, it's interesting how like you know you'll just be doing your thing, you're just living, you're designing, you're doing whatever. But different vantage points have different perspectives on what that looks like, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I never saw it from that vantage point until like you, and then one more prior to you
Well, it's
of
like,
that.
back Instagram really got started. I think it was like 2009, 2010. I graduated in 14, so like people were started sharing their
Mm,
work early before they got into the industry. I believe you got your footwear kickoff in 2010, and so
yeah,
you started sharing stuff. Concept kicks was starting to pop off. People's work was getting to share. It seemed like everybody wanted their work featured there, and like yours just kept getting
yeah.
featured. And so yeah, you're definitely one of those people that I think a lot of aspiring footwear designers 10 years ago, admired and looked up to.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. No, that's been part of the like when I talk about legacy, like that's like we do these things because we want to be remembered at the end of the day, right? And then you go, okay, how does that feel when people remember me? Like what's that energy and what does it feel like? And so that energy is displayed through the work
Hmm.
and the grind and the not wanting to settle for what they just give you out the box, maybe think outside the box and what does that even look like? And that's been like a driving force for me, like since day one,
So
just to really define what I want.
so I wanted to ask you as a leading question because on paper it looks and feels from the outside looking in that you
Hmm.
have had it come together really, really nicely. You've started your own footwear brand, you've worked with athletes, celebrities, other footwear brands where you've designed beautiful product for. You now teach, you are a mentor to kids who want to get into this
Yeah.
industry. You've pretty much checked a lot of boxes that anybody would ever want. And so I want to ask you, what's
Mm.
missing right now? Like, what's missing in your life that you haven't, like, you talked about still driving you, but like, what's missing? Like, something's got to be missing to keep
Yeah.
you going.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, to the point of like legacy and having something as a namesake, like Q4 is my baby. Um, and the baby isn't fully grown yet. Again, from the outside, it says, hey, man, you've had things on court, you've distributed overseas in Japan. We now have the opportunity to be inside of Foot Locker this year, 10 to 20 store test. Prior to that, it was Nordstrom, and that's why you have like the athleisure stuff you see right now.
Mm-hmm.
But the part nobody sees, or I don't believe think about, was the fact that COVID was a real thing. And yet we were still a small business. And right prior to it happening, that was the year that we were really about to expand. 2018, did a 10-day tour, Shanghai, Beijing, took all the athletes over, took a dunk squad over. We were at the AU tournaments and training camps, and you know, um, having Mo Space out there was great. Ty Lawson, and it led into 2019. That's where we were getting the global distribution deals, and now coming in 3 to 5 year deals, Australia, Lithuania. You know, that was gonna put us over the edge, but that's when we got worried about COVID happening in China Q3. And
Yikes.
then it hit us. 2020 locked us down. Basketball category went all the way down. We're a startup on top of that. We still have inventory we got to pay for. We got trademarks in all these countries you have to pay for, and lawyer fees and everything else. And we have people that internally that are working for us as well. Like, that's a lot, right? As a small business to go through. And so going through that, that was a big test for me and my team. It's like, okay, we've done a lot and we're killing it, but things happen outside of your control. So then it's a real test on like, how bad do you really want to do this thing that you said you wanted to do?
Mm.
Like, how are you going to figure this thing out? Because it's really truly outside of your control. Um, but you can't sit there and complain about it. You gotta be a problem solver. It's just the level just increased. So same game, but now you're on like superstar mode. So then that got to the Nordstrom opportunity, and that's why we developed the athleisure collection in Portugal. Um, but then by the time we got back, guess what happened? Well, the people that brought us in, they left. One went to Anthropology, one went to Amazon, and then the
Oh.
buyers changed, and it was a big reorg, and they were shutting down stores, and then it was, well, come back to us in 6 months. Well, we can't wait 6 months. Every month is a big burn. Like
Mm.
and so then that led to one of my mentors, Dwayne Edwards, and that is talk about OG. That is OG. That is so he saw the collection because I passed it to him, and he was like, "Man, this is crazy. I gotta get it to somebody." And luckily, it was Foot Locker in the lead program, and they saw the collection and gave us open calendar, and that's how we're developing the new performance stuff right now. And the thing that's missing is the Series A money. And this economy is not the best economy right now.
No, it's not.
Coming out of COVID, our revenues weren't what they normally were, right? But there's a vision that that's happening right now, especially when it comes to niche independent brands
Mm-hmm.
that are forced into a space where consumers are saying, we don't want the standard big box three. We want something outside of that because it then becomes personal to them. And so we've already said this. We want to be first to market of bridging influencers, athletes, entertainers into a category of footwear, and not just footwear because it can expand beyond just footwear and go apparel and everything else. But the platform that allows for them to be able to tap into what they already have in brand. They already have brand affinity. They already have followers and people that want to buy their merch, their product. The question is, do you have the access to manufacturing and design and R&D to be able to present it to them for purchase? Because consumers will consume. The question is, do you have anything for them to consume? We're
Mm.
saying we can help build that for you. So that's it's been a journey, man, and it's a constant grind. Like, it's again, this is a beast of a industry
Yeah,
that we're
no,
in.
it's we were just chatting a little bit offline, and like right now, especially with all the layoffs and like people who have had their own consultancy businesses aren't like having the same retainer clients hit them back, or to your point, trying to get into retail and then people switching jobs because of
Yeah.
the economy. Like things are, it's the Wild West out there. And so I love that you phrase Q4 is a baby and it's not fully grown yet, and there's still a lot in that mission to get accomplished. And so I want to tap
Hmm.
into that because there are, myself included, a lot of creators who are, even they don't even need to be motivated. I think you're the type of guy that's similar to me, where you don't need outside motivation, you don't need outside inspiration, right? You inspire
Yeah.
yourself. You know what your goals and mission is. But there are a lot of
Yeah.
people who aspire to be like that, but they're not there yet. And so what would you say is like the key trigger for you to just wake up every day with your purpose, with your mission, and just, regardless if COVID happens, regardless if people say no, regardless if they pull the plug on retail,
Yeah.
why are you the way you are? Because it's kind of
Mm.
psychotic, right? Like people would quit.
Oh man. Oh dude. What? Like talk about like mama mentality esque kind
Mm,
of thinking. Yes, it is that. And you know, I talk about this in like some of my classes. It's like this thing that we do, this is competition. This is a sport. You're an athlete inside the sport, right?
mm,
Now, the reason why everybody wanted to go to the NBA, the sport, was because they saw a lifestyle. They saw a legacy. They saw historic things being done, and they saw it at the top most premium level of performance, right? Which in our case would be creativity, innovation, storytelling, inspiration, all that stuff, right? And so when people see that, most people would want it.
mm,
Most people, all right? But the fact is, there's only 450 people in the entire world that get to experience that thing, right? So the question is, well, the facts are, it's very hard to get there. But once you get there, the fact is, you do live a lifestyle that most people would never experience. But also, one of the facts is that for you to stay there, you will have to emit immense amount of energy over an extended period of time. And especially if you want to put the cherry on top and you say you're on the all-star team of that,
mm.
or you're in the Hall of Fame of that category. So I mean, okay, so re-engineer it. Which do you really want to experience that, or is it worth the energy to experience it? One, is it worth it to you as an individual? And then, okay, once you say, let's say you say yes, well, because there's levels to that, what level do you really want and what really fulfills you? And just be honest. Like just put yourself in a white room like you're in the Matrix and nobody was there, nobody judged you. It was no judgment. What would you really want your life to be painted as?
Mm.
No judgment. Just paint it and observe it and really think, do I really want it to look like that? And once you can visualize that painting, lock into it, and then apply yourself daily because you said that it's worth me getting up every morning, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, go to bed late, get up early again and do it all over again. I'm gonna do it for years. Because that thing that I painted that I'm locked in on, it's worth that. It's worth it to me to apply that amount of energy. And that's it. It's nothing else to talk about. It's only about then putting in the effort and the energy and the strategy and the network and the creativity and the innovation to get that thing completed. Because you said it's worth it.
That framework, you tell your students that, listen, we are creators, so aka you can fill in the same gap as an athlete in the NBA, right? There's only a limited
Yeah,
number of footwear design spots, right? And so do you want to be
that's it.
considered class A, B, C? Like there's nothing wrong with any class, right? You
It's
could just work your 9 to 5 at a
yeah,
corporate gig
that's
and be
fine.
happy and then go home to your dog. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong
But
with
what is, to your point, what is that painting that you illustrated? And I feel that a lot of calls with students either graduating or just about to graduate or are trying to break through into the industry. And man, it's like everybody does the
it. Yeah,
same shit. They hit you up on LinkedIn. They're trying to get a job. They send the emails. They send the DMs. It's
yeah,
like, dude,
yeah.
if you want this to be your life and it's your
Mm-hmm.
purpose and your mission,
Mm-hmm.
and you really want to sacrifice to be a top tier footwear designer, you got to do top tier shit. It's like, stop doing what everybody else is doing. It's like,
That's it.
show up. Like, I don't know, just show up to their
Yeah,
HQ
yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Like, do something
Or
different.
yeah, or just go around the back way. Like maybe going around because maybe everybody wants to get to that same destination, but everybody's just being funneled through this door.
Mm,
And it's tight to get through this door, right? But what if you took the other way and it took you maybe a little bit longer?
mm,
Maybe it's a little bit more treacherous and it has like different like valleys and like unknown things, and that's why people don't want to go there because they don't know what's over there. This is a door, and I know this is a door, and I see a lot of people going through this door. I know it's safe. Why not just let me just check around here and just go that way? And it looks like there's light around the corner. but it's going to take me a little bit more effort, but that's another way. And it's not a lot of people doing it that way. So actually, that's probably the better way. Maybe if you're brave enough to go and check it out. Because you
Yeah.
can always go back to the line. The line is going to forever be there. It's going to be there, dog. So why not just take a couple of minutes to go around to that little corner and see if you can find a way to get in quicker than standing in the line?
100%. I mean,
That's all I'm saying.
and so for you specifically, are you still, as you progress, whether that's through teaching, whether that's through Q4, through your creative agency, whatever it is, like, are you still struggling, or have you figured out the backdoor methodology, or have you, like, what, are you still exploring these unknown paths? Like, where do you feel right now in terms of your confidence level, your execution? Like,
Bro, oh man. I feel like if I had to put like an analogy to it, um, I feel like, it's like you feel like you're in a desert and you're really like a pioneer where you're just like you're really traveling some uncharted ways of travel. Like everybody travels and they travel in different ways and they go to different destinations. The thing about this industry that is that especially if you're going in this path that I'm trying to go, it's like you deal with a lot of politics.
mm,
You deal with a lot of say yes and mean no's. Um, and you're trying to filter through a lot of BS to be real with people and then just pure, just like business practice. Um, and so when you're doing it as an independent, it's different from doing it as a corporate. It's just it is the Wild Wild West. It is a lot of you got to test things to know if this is the right direction or this is the right partner. Um, while still doing some amazing things as a result of filtering through that stuff at the same time. You know what I mean? Like it's been amazing to like think about something that I really wanted to do deeply and actually be able to say that I've done it.
mm,
But that isn't my picture. It isn't painted all the way. And I'm I'm like we're right here to getting it exactly the way that I saw this way when I said I want to pull the trigger. Yeah, it's like it's right there. But some things happened prior to it getting there, which okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
100%. And so the question becomes, right? You're so close. You're almost there. You got to keep going. You got to find different ways to get there. When you do get there, you've had some success, right? Let's
Yep.
call it, on paper success. Hasn't been easy, but
Hmm.
you've gotten it. What what I've found amongst myself and other people with like minds, you accomplish something, you check the box, you do what your 16-year-old, 18-year-old, 21-year-old self would be super fucking proud of. And then you're still not satisfied, and there's always another cherry to go after. There's always another thing a mountain to climb. Do you have that
Hmm.
same feeling first, and then secondarily, like, how are you filling yourself up and being kind to yourself when you have that feeling of like, I just checked this box, but now I gotta go get another one, right? Like I
Hmm.
struggle with like living in like, hey,
Yeah.
dude, it's okay. Like appreciate this level right now. Like you've done
Yes, sir.
something amazing and you
Yes, sir.
don't have to move on immediately to the next accomplishment. Like chill the fuck out.
Right, right. See, that's that mental thing, right? It's like, uh, but so first question was, what's the first one?
Oh man, I forgot.
Uh,
Like how are how are you dealing with that, right? Like do you
yeah,
hit yourself with stages of like accomplishments of like whether it's teaching, whether it's designing,
yeah,
whether it's
man.
another athlete to work, whether it's signing a
Yeah,
retail deal, like yeah, okay, great,
yeah,
Foot Locker might happen, it probably will happen, okay,
yeah.
great, box checked, what's next, how do
No
I do
doubt,
that?
no doubt. Because okay. same. It's okay, yes. Do I take the time to acknowledge that, man, do you understand that you've come a long way and you've done things that you even probably never thought you'd do, but somehow you've done it. And the fact that you've done it, that for me gives me energy
Mm,
to go to the, because it's, to your point, it's like a checkbox. Uh, if I got defensive player of the year once, can I get all pro? And then can I go and get whatever? I mean, it's this this if you're really competitive, and that's the only way to describe it. If you're really competitive, checking those boxes are like trophies for you, and they give you energy to want to get more trophies. Because one ring once, and you feel what that feels like. Because that thing is so quote unquote unachievable to get the ring in the end, right?
mm,
So it's again, you're talking about a finite amount of people that get to experience what that feels like. So you've tasted it once. You're like, oh, that felt amazing. I want to feel that again. And I will not relinquish due to me not wanting to get into the gym or shoot those shots. I will do even more to ensure that I get that feeling one more time the next year.
mm.
And so that's for me, that's what gets me going, dog. Like to know that I've done that thing. And yeah, now it's like, okay, now now you're meeting a real big boss.
Mm.
Like you've beaten a good amount of bosses. But this one is probably like your biggest boss. Now through all of your experience, figure out how to beat this boss and have confidence while doing it.
I don't think I think people like this mindset of like exactly as you laid it out is like maybe it's different levels or maybe it's different progression. You're different like you're going from minor leagues to all pro or whatever, and then how do you become like
Hmm.
an all star? I don't even know if people like frame it that way amongst their own lives, and maybe they have, maybe they don't have to, maybe they
You know
should.
that.
It depends on kind of
Yeah.
what your aspirations are. But
Yeah.
I love the way of like I think people should, right? Like, hey, listen, maybe I'm comfortable being just in the league, right? I'm
Right.
comfortable there. And
That's dope.
I need to do a better job of focusing of not comparing myself to other people because I'm actually stoked to just be in the league, right? There are those
For
people who
sure.
are grinding every single day and they want to be on the all-star team every single year, right? They want to go back-to-back trophies. I don't
Yep.
necessarily want that. And I think there's a
Hmm.
stigma these days of like everybody having that pressure of trying to feel like they have to be an all-star every single time. Do you agree with that
You
or do you disagree? Like what's the sense you get from students?
well, this I'll tell you this. This is what I do agree with. Through all that framing that I just did, I only did it because for me, and this is about individual, like you have to really understand yourself. For me to feel fulfilled in what I do and why I do it, I have to frame it like that for it to
Mm,
mean something for me, right? So that's the same reason why people either are religious or they're not. It's not to say that the one that is not religious doesn't have moral value or that they don't understand what morality is or that they don't agree. It's just that they didn't want to place something as a logo or a frame of naming conventions to that thing. They understand it and they commit to morality daily. But sometimes you need a tool to frame that same thing that's kind of abstract for the one that is not religious, quote unquote. That sometimes other people need a frame so they can follow this rubric. And that's me. That was my analogy. That was
mm,
me framing my rubric because I do want to be successful. I do want to have something to pass on to my family. That's generational wealth and legacy. Like I do value that. And I do understand that I have to apply an absorbent amount of energy to even be in that kind of conversation. And I'm okay with it. So but I have to frame it like a competition because I'm competitive. That's my nature.
Mm,
I'm an athlete. I'm an ex-athlete. So I have to, okay, what does it mean to be an all-star in this category? What does it mean to be a 10-time champion in this category? How does that even look? Well, for me, I said, Q4 is like a baby. Well, part of the next step was to get that global distribution. And we were right there, but something happened outside of our control and it paused us a little bit, right? So that's now the big boss. So the new product that Foot Locker is taking, that new product, well, one of the small bosses to get to the big boss, well, I have to get the small boss, and that's the Series A money right now.
mm,
But there's also a thing that's happening with the Series A. Well, we're talking about a category, an environment where the economy is what it is. We know it's not the best at all, but we do understand that we hold something that's valuable because we've been attracted via something like a Foot Locker.
mm-hmm,
We've been overseas. We've proven model and proven concept back in 2017, 2018. So, but that's just the literal scenario of where it is right now. That's just what it is. So it's either complain about it or solve for it.
mm.
And we've been actively solving for it. You know what I mean?
I think that's amazing mentality of like, instead of looking at it as just a problem or whining about it or complaining, more specifically complain, like people complain about everything these days. You get the wrong milk in your $7 Starbucks, you complain about it. And it's like,
Right.
it's like, instead
Yeah.
of, or look at it like, hey, I was able to afford a $7 Starbucks and it's still going to give me the caffeine that I need. And having that different perspective to keep going and keep working towards it, right? I think is really fundamental for anybody listening and anybody who really wants something out of their
Yep.
life that's different than the norm. And I think we are
That's it.
living amongst so many sheep these days that, like, if you really want to set and climb a different path and climb a different mountain, you got to do different shit. And so I love the mentality of beating these bosses and categorizing yourself. I do wanted to, I wanted to spend a few minutes specifically because you have beat a boss that nobody else has beat. And that is really just like on the collegiate front, on the university front, bringing footwear design
Yeah.
as like a normalcy is so cool to watch from afar, of like having a what was known for its industrial design program, bringing in footwear design specific, whether that's lecturers, whether that's yourself, whether that's, this program, having it as a first minor. Now I believe you started the master's program as well. I mean, what does that feel like? Like, is that something really just like, did 10 years ago, did you even know
Mm,
that was something
man,
you wanted to do? Like, just talk about the experience as a
man.
whole.
It's been an amazing experience, first of all. And then secondly, I don't want to take all the credit because it's a team of people that made
Mm,
this happen. So I would never be the one to say that I did it because it is a team. Um, but man, I mean, I remember being at SCAD. I was a student, you know what I mean, industrial design. And I originally got to SCAD because of my high school teacher, Miss Emery now, saw I had some talent and said, what are you going to do with it?
mm,
And prior to that, I was drawing sneakers. I was drawing cars. I want to be a car designer. And she said, you should go to SCAD. And I said, what's that? And this is somebody that's been in Georgia my entire life. Never heard of SCAD. It was 2.5 hours away. And she said, you should go there because I went there. And I said, what? You went there? Okay, yeah. So I went to SCAD Day and I saw they had a car prototype out there that a sponsored class made. It's moving, it's fiberglass body, everything. I said, wait, students made that? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, what major is that? They said, industrial design. What's that? Like, I was just so green. I was like, what is going on? Uh, and never thought about kicks as a career. Was just so focused on cars because I've seen the car shows of people drawing cars. So I knew that's a career. Oh wow. It was so simple, right? But I've never seen anybody draw sneakers and think that, oh, that's yeah, somebody has to design that thing, dude. You can be one of those people. But I was the one just drawing and not thinking of career. And so now to be on the other side
mm,
in a had my 14 plus year career in footwear and done some really just, I just never thought things before. And I'm able to give it to somebody else that said they want that same thing. And I'm giving them a jump ahead. Oh man, that'll get you up every morning to want to go and kick game and talk
Mm,
about these nuances of the industries and what it really takes to be a designer and survive again, because this is still competitive. I know we love it, but this is also a business. This is a business. So I'm gonna bring in people like Omar Bailey and Con Ando and like my man Nico in New York at Rag and Bone, and we're gonna have real conversations on what it takes to be a designer and with purpose and intent and storytelling and marketing. And I'm also going to talk about logistics and taxes and duties and what if you did your own thing? What would it take?
mm.
What would it take for a brand launch? I'm gonna teach you gravity sketch. I'm gonna teach you how to sketch properly, just pen and paper. Like, I mean, I wish I had that when I was at SCAD, bro. You know what I mean? Oh my God, I would be like, oh man. So yeah, it's been amazing. And I can't. I mean, when you see this one project that we're working on, which the world will see it in August, it's yeah, it's special. You know what I mean? So yeah, looking
I
forward
think
to it.
what's really cool about what you've done is it's kind of like a repeating kind of funnel of fuel, because like the students graduate and then you get another funnel of students and you see them light
Yeah,
up
man,
and you see their experiences and what you're able to give them that wasn't there before you were there, right? And so
no
I
doubt.
think that revolving door of fuel, seeing other people's reaction to what you've been part of building is gotta feel so cool. And so yeah, I mean,
Man,
I think it's fun just from the outside looking in again. Like it's just awesome where people are breaking grounds in new ways, right? Because you could have just stayed as a designer, you could have stayed as a creative in the industry and just done that
yeah,
really successfully. And you're like, no, let's try to help other people. And the more guests that I have on this podcast, the more I really believe that in order for
mhm,
people to find purpose, you have to be in service of other people. And that can take a number of different shapes, a number of different sizes. It could
yeah,
be
man,
your own little thing amongst your own town and your community. But if you start progressing and you grow into somebody who is in service of others, whatever that means to you, I
yeah,
actually think you will feel better and you will have more
no doubt.
success and you'll have more opportunities that come your way.
It only makes sense. It's at the very core of it. You're talking about energy, and it's recycle of energy. So the more you give it, the more that it gives back.
Mm,
And you keep this flow going. And that's so when people say they're in the flow, that's part of it, man. You can't just do this internal thing where you're just kind of keeping it to yourself. You have to expend it and it has to hit somebody else and it ripples. And then it creates and that creates energy. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be part of that ecosystem. For everybody to win. Like you're winning, they're winning, the ecosystem of people. I mean, it's just why would you want to be part of that?
right.
Like that's come on, man. That's you should love that part. You should love that part.
I mean, I completely agree. I think there's so much value in that. And then also just like, I think just seeing people's like bodies light up, right? Like, you know, how much light are you giving to
Yeah,
somebody else in
yeah,
this world? And if you could do that through creativity specifically, I think it's even more elevated,
no
and
doubt,
really, really, really special. And so you're clearly doing that. You're clearly on that path. Um, what do
no
you,
doubt.
what do you think? Is there anything that you to this day outside of, you know, Q4, just from a holistic creative field, like
Mm,
that you've struggled with, like on a deep level? Like anybody listening
mm,
creatively experiences burnout, they experience the competitiveness of it, right? Like
yeah,
what's like
man.
something that like comes to mind of like something you've really struggled with? Is it like the ego aspect, right? Like we live in the social media age where you're constantly comparing yourself and you're like, you everybody believes they're the best, right? Like you should believe you're the best, like that, like that's
Yeah,
like separate. But like, man, everybody wants to compare themselves. Like, is it the ego aspect? Is it like the burnout? Like, what's something that
yeah,
Quintin Williams struggles with?
yeah. Yeah. Let's go right there because, you know, when I was at SCAD, same thing. I'm going through the ranks. I'm going through ID, sketch ideations and renderings and concepts and da da da, and model making. And, again, I'm coming in as somebody that's naturally competitive, right? And I'm comparing myself, right? Now, me comparing myself because I am that kind of person, it did get me some nice portfolio work, right? And some nice skill building, and no doubt. And I remember at the end of my senior thesis, was in studio, and this is one of my professors that I highly revered. Like, he was part of the team that designed the Zonda, Pagani, um, Professor Jose Gamboa. And so, he saw my competitive nature through the whole quarter. Like, he saw how I came into class early, pinning up things and checking out so and so sketching. And, in my eyes, I wasn't at their level yet, but I was close. And he saw me work and work and work. And he passed me in the hallway and he said, Quinn, you have great work, but you need to stop competing against everybody else and start competing against yourself.
Mm.
And at that time, I had no clue what he meant. It was like Mr. Miyagi saying something really crazy, and you're like, "What? Don't understand. What do you mean? I have to compare. That's the competition. I got it, right?" But when a couple years went by, I had a little started to get into Q4, a little bit of success. And I said, then I understood what he meant because my path wasn't like everybody else's. But for me to try to compare outside of myself would be illogical because we all are unique. Like, we all have unique skills and we meet people at unique times in unique places and things happen in unique ways. So for you to try to compare your success to somebody else's in the time frame and all this stuff, that would be crazy for you to even try to do that because it would never be that.
Mm.
What you should focus in on is what you do have, who you are around, how you can impact other people in your vicinity, and see where that leads you. And be okay with that. So again, when I think about it now, as I'm like now 35, I'm not comparing anything because as long as, again, I'm fulfilling what I want to, again, that white box, am I fulfilling that painting? I don't care about anything else outside of that. I don't care about being the best. I want to know, have I completed my painting in
Mm.
my mind? And if I can say yes, every day I look in the mirror, or I'm getting closer to the painting, I'm good. So again, I'm just looking at me now. It's comparing what do I need to be fulfilled and know it to the T, to the detail. Nobody can shake it. And if I do want to edit it, it'll be on my terms.
Mm.
My terms. Because that's I'm a person too. I give a lot to a lot of people, but I gotta take care of me too. I'm a person. And what does that person want? Well, you gotta take a couple of years to really know.
Mm.
And now I know without doubt. So nothing can shake what I want and how I know I need to get it. And as long as I continue to get close to getting it, I'm fulfilled. I'm good. That's it. It's that simple now.
That's so powerful, man. That's I hope this has inspired some people and motivated them. Focus on yourself. It is a competition if you want it to be
Yep.
amongst yourself. And
Amongst
I
yourself.
think that that framework is really, really pure and really powerful. Um, I'm stoked. I've tried to ask people this question, but you already answered it. If we were sitting together again in a year, what would we be celebrating? I can guarantee that we'd be celebrating the
Oh
Foot
man.
Locker, Foot Locker news.
No doubt.
Hopefully, you get some Series A.
Yes, sir.
Um, what's something else that we would be celebrating in a year from now? Have you thought about that? Do you focus more on the present, or do you like have this? Obviously, the painting is futuristic a little bit, and so
Yeah,
where's your mindset in terms of like that time horizon?
even that, man, even that, it's almost like different for me now. Like time, um, because what I've realized is that for me to try to stamp a time on it, you talk about ego. That's the next realm of ego because now you're trying to play God. So now
Mm,
you control time too. So you painted your picture. Now you get to control how quick you get it done. Oh wow, you do everything now, and I realize that's where you set yourself up for failure. So again, like go back. No, no, no. What do you want to do? What does it look like? And are you applying yourself at full maximum capacity as best as you can every day? And if you say yes, the time thing, well, that's the variable nobody knows. And that's why people give up. Because everybody can paint a picture they took the time. It's this thing, because that's always unknown. So when you say, oh, it's here, but it's really actually here. You can't even see it on the screen. It's like right over here.
mm, mm-hmm.
And they hit it and they're like, wait, wait, wait. I said it's here. It said, no, it's actually here. And they give up and they walk away. So all I want to say is, I know what it looks like. I painted the picture. I'm getting closer to completing the picture like every day. And that's exciting. And when I get done, you'll see it.
And that's the dude, that last bit
You'll
of
see it.
pure confidence cue is amazing. That's the
Yeah.
best way to wrap this up. Man,
No doubt.
I'm thrilled that we got the chance to sit down, chop it up, talk about your mentality, how you continue to execute and elevate yourself, and just keep progressing and being on your own court, being on your own timeline, being on your own canvas. Man,
Yeah, man.
this has been some serious truth, and I can't thank you enough for being part of this. And man, I'm so excited. If there's anything I could ever do to help you, please reach out. I hope everybody
Same, man.
listening had really enjoyed this. Listen back, reach out to Q. Where can people find you? Where can people learn about you?
Yeah.
Where can people find your story? Where, obviously here, but, I tried to not
Yeah.
do this podcast as like a resume thing where people, you go through your timeline and you just talk about that. We wanted to try to
Yeah.
get into the nuts and bolts, which we did, which I'm really, really jazzed up about. So if somebody wants to reach out, are your DMs
Okay.
open? How do you treat all the
Yeah.
requests? Like, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, man. No, yeah, just reach out. You can find me in my personal, that's Q_designs with an S. And then my creative astronaut page where you see all of my just pure work, that's _creative astronaut. And then Q4 Sports. Go follow that for sure. And it's just Q_4 Sports with an S. And so, yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. Glad we got a chance to link up, man. I've been waiting for this day, so it's been great, dude.
I
For
appreciate you a
sure.
lot.